If the pimping of young teenagers is largely a hidden crime, it hasn't yet received the national priority some experts argue it merits. It doesn't, for example, feature in the government's official list of targets for the police. They emphasise burglary, domestic violence, gun crime, a number of other offences, and road traffic collisions, but not child prostitution.
Well, it certainly has to fight for airspace amongst a plethora of other challenges and priorities for the police service. And certainly if forces don't have intelligence about a significant problem existing in their area, they're not likely to include it as part of their policing plan priorities.
But is it getting adequate priority nationally at the moment?
It's getting the priority it needs when instances come to light.
Outside Lancashire, there have been a number of short-term police operations against child sexual exploitation. When they've ended, many have drawn the conclusion that the problem has been solved.
I think it just, again, highlights the fact that this problem is seemingly not taken seriously and not understood. Because if it was understood, people in authority would realise that this is long-term work. You can't just put operations in and resources in, then pull them out. It's not a waste of time, but it needs to be long-term investment from all the organisations involved if this is going to have any long-term impact. These men are in it for the long run. They're not going anywhere, and these authorities, and we all need to be in it for the long run as well, so we can protect these children.
You've had your eye off the ball as far as child prostitution is concerned, haven't you?
No, I don't think so, because
then why wasn't it a target if road collisions were?
We introduced new offences, we've introduced all sorts of different units, guidance has gone out to the police, there's been a change in the way that victims are dealt with. We're looking at how we can collect the evidence, we're looking at how we can deal with all of that, and as part of that process, part of that progress, the government now will turn its attention in terms of the targets and the priorities to serious violence. When will the government make the pimping of children a statutory police target? Well, that'll take place in the new framework that's the performance indicators are going to be published in the next couple of months.
But the Home Office has known about the problem for years. A decade ago, officials were so concerned about child prostitution that they funded police and social services projects in Wolverhampton and Nottingham to learn how to tackle it. In Wolverhampton, the team was led by Detective Sergeant Lyndon Whitehouse, who was initially sceptical about the scale of the problem.
I didn't think it was anywhere near as serious as what we uncovered. I wouldn't say I was completely oblivious to the fact that pimps are in existence and that pimps would be involved with children, but I didn't realise it was on anywhere near the scale it was at the time.
Shocked at what he'd found, Sergeant Whitehouse set about bringing the guilty to justice. And in the limited time the pilot project was allowed to run, the results were extraordinary.
Over an 18-month period of time, we investigated 91 cases. In 71 of those cases, we uncovered evidence of coercion and exploitation. In 35 cases, we brought to prosecution. 35 individual adults were charged with offences in connection with the exploitation of children for prostitution, and virtually all of those people were convicted.
So you got almost 35
Convicted. And most of those people received custodial sentences, because at the end of the day, this is a serious crime.
His team showed how these crimes could be tackled not only in Wolverhampton, but throughout the country, as they tracked gangs taking young girls from city to city.
They were being moved around the country, and pimps had got a network and knew other pimps in other parts of the country.
How far would they move?
Well, our investigations took us, and I personally travelled to London, Bradford, Cardiff, Luton, Ipswich, Leeds, that kind of network. And of course, many of these children have never been outside of Wolverhampton. So if you move a child 14 years of age out of the town and you move 100 miles away, she's completely isolated, completely completely in the control and in the hands of ruthless individuals portraying themselves to be caring boyfriends.
In general, how do parents...
Once a girl is alienated from all her familiar supports, the consequences can be grave.
What we see is that many women who work as prostitutes in adulthood were sexually exploited as children. Women in prostitution as adults didn't wake up one morning and think, I'm going to be a prostitute. There was a process by which they got there, and the evidence we see and the information that we receive suggests that many, if not the majority, were exploited as children.
In Blackburn, police become concerned about 2 teenage girls out at night, 10 miles from home, and seemingly unaware of the risk they're running.
So what are you doing over here?
Somehow they've found their way to a dark back street where there are 4 cars of men mysteriously waiting.
No, I just need to check your names and your dates of birth.
Why?
Because I work on something called the Engaged team, and we work with young girls who are being sexually exploited by older males. Obviously you're 15 and 16, and so we need to make sure that you're safe and that you're not missing.
With nothing obviously criminal, police can't compel the girls to cooperate, but they're eager to talk to the men hanging round.
We don't know now. We don't
None of what?
None of us pick these young girls up and that.
Why do many people do that?
Probably, no.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Round here?
I blame the parents, don't you think?
Do you?
Yeah.
I
definitely blame the parents.
Do you not blame?
Locked up at home.
Do you not blame the males that pick them up?
No, not really, no.
And use them for sex?
Not really, no.
No?
No.
Okay.
I mean, if my sister were at that time, I'd rather than send her back home.
Well, that's not the way, is it?
Why isn't it? That is the proper way, and that's how we should be.
The difficulty we've got is that if you haven't got some form of intelligence or some form of information to back up what you can see going on in front of you, what you can see going on in front of you may very well be just innocent behaviour, just kids being kids. If we had some information on who those girls were, for example, and that they are in the middle of some sexual exploitation, then obviously we can take a bit more positive action with them.
In this shadowy world, it's hard to establish the facts about patterns of abuse. Child prostitutes may not be visible standing on street corners. They're far more likely to be hidden away in some flat above a taxi firm. But around the country, it is clear that gangs of different racial origins are principally involved.